My beloved child, gather close, for tonight my spirit feels a stirring that I cannot keep silent. The air itself seems to tremble with a whisper from the heavens, as if a great wing has swept across the sky. I speak to you not as a teacher above you, but as a father who loves you deeply, a shepherd who longs for every sheep to hear the gentle call of the divine. Tonight, something sacred approaches, not something to fear, but something to open your heart to. For as I prayed in the quiet hours, before dawn kissed the world awake, I sensed a presence standing beside me, a mighty one, a warrior of light. And though the room was still, my soul felt the sound of his wings. My child, it was the presence of Archangel Michael. Do not let the heaviness of the world close your ears. Do not let the weight of life's troubles bend your heart away from this moment. For there are times when heaven leans close, and when it does, the wise do not look away. The wise open. The wise listen. The wise receive. As I stood there in that soft silence, I felt the strength of Michael, not harsh, not forceful, but steady like a father's hand resting on the shoulder of his child. And I sensed a message, not shouted, not demanded, but offered like a gift placed gently into my hands. A message meant for you. A message meant for this very hour. My child, he said, tell them to open this. Tell them not to skip the voice of love again. And though the title of this message may sound urgent, dramatic, even commanding, hear my voice now. I speak this to you not as a warning, but as an invitation. Heaven does not threaten you. Heaven does not frighten you. Heaven calls you with a love so deep that even angels bow their wings before it. There is something God wants to place in your spirit tonight, something soft, something healing, something peaceful. And though the world has taught you to scroll past moments like this, to rush, to hurry, to ignore the whispers of the soul, the Spirit urges you to stay. Heaven is patient, but tonight, heaven also leans close. My beloved child, the reason you are here, right now, is no accident. The reason your heart didn't scroll past this moment is because something in you, something ancient, something holy, recognized the voice behind the words. You have skipped so many signs before, not out of rebellion, but out of exhaustion, distraction, forgotten hope. And God saw every moment of it. Yet still he calls. Still he knocks. Still he reaches. For the love of the Father does not give up. My child, tonight is not about fear. It is about opening. Opening your heart, your home, your spirit. And before this night ends, a peace, yes, a holy peace, will rest upon your dwelling like a gentle mantle of light. But for now, simply breathe. Listen. Let the story unfold. Are you ready, beloved one? Shall we walk deeper into the message that heaven wants to whisper to you? My beloved child, come closer now, for part 2 unfolds like the turning of a sacred page. Let your heart rest in this moment, and let your spirit breathe slowly, because what I share with you now is the heart of the heavenly call, the call that Archangel Michael placed like a flame upon my spirit. There are times when heaven speaks loudly, through thunder, through miracles, through moments that shake the earth. But more often, heaven speaks in a whisper. And it is this whisper that many people miss. It is this whisper that you have overlooked before, not because you did not care, but because life became too loud. Yet tonight, that whisper grows stronger, and it comes wrapped in light. My beloved child, when Michael speaks, he does not speak to frighten. He speaks to awaken. His words are not orders of force, but invitations of urgency. He calls you to open not a door of wood or metal, but the door of your own spirit. For there is something heaven has been trying to place within you for so long. Clarity, protection, healing, direction, and the moment has finally come for you to receive it. I remember the moment I felt his presence. It was as though the atmosphere changed, as though time slowed. His voice did not echo like thunder. Instead, it carried the weight of truth. A weight that did not burden me, but steadied me. He said, "Open this. Tell them to open this. Tell them that heaven knocks gently, but tonight heaven knocks with purpose." My child, do not imagine an angel standing with fire and fury. Imagine, instead, a guardian stepping forward with a lantern of light, illuminating a path you have forgotten. Michael carries a sword, yes, but it is a sword of truth, not of fear. When he speaks of opening, he speaks of awakening, of letting divine clarity enter your thoughts, your home, your heart. Heaven sees the confusion you carry. Heaven sees the storms you walk through silently. Heaven sees the moments when you lie awake at night wondering if God hears you, if angels see you, if the battles you face will ever end. And it is for this reason that the call came tonight. Not because you have done something wrong, but because you have grown weary from trying to stand alone. Archangel Michael's message is simple. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And tonight, the veil between heaven and your home grows thinner, not to frighten you, but to comfort you. For where you feel abandoned, heaven draws near. Where you feel weak, heaven stands strong. Where you feel unsure, heaven brings clarity. My beloved child, the call to open is the call to pause, to listen, to let something holy enter the quiet places of your life. It is not a command meant to pressure you, but a beckoning meant to bless you. When Michael says, "Open this right now," he speaks to the part of you that has been closed off by disappointment. The part of you that stopped expecting miracles because life has taught you to protect your heart. But tonight, heaven asks you to trust once more. Just a little. Just enough to hear the voice behind the wind. Just enough to feel the warmth of God drawing near. Just enough to let the angelic presence stand watch at the door of your heart. My child, think of this moment as a divine appointment. Not one you scheduled, but one that was written for you long before you felt your first breath. God knew you would be here. God knew your spirit would be soft enough tonight to hear what you could not hear before. God knew the weariness would bring you to a place of openness, not defeat. The heavenly call is not for the strong. It is for the tired. It is for the ones who try in silence. It is for the ones who smile while breaking. It is for the ones who carry more than they ever speak about. And heaven, in its mercy, sends a messenger of light to say, "I see you. I stand with you. And I bring hell." My beloved child, let your heart stay open now. for we are only stepping into the beginning of what heaven desires to reveal. The next part will show you why the signs you kept skipping were never meant to shame you, but to save you from walking alone. My beloved child, come and sit once more in the warmth of this moment, for part 3 draws us deeper into the tender truth of your journey. Let your spirit be calm, because what I share now is not a correction, but a gentle unveiling of why you have missed so many of the signs heaven has placed before you. Not out of rebellion, not out of disrespect, but because life has been louder than the whisper of God. You see, my child, the human heart does not skip divine messages because it is stubborn. It skips them because it is tired. It skips them because the world teaches you to rush, to scroll, to push forward without pausing. It teaches you to survive, not to listen. Many times, heaven has tried to speak to you in soft ways. A feeling in your heart, a sudden thought of comfort, a moment that made you pause for no reason. A word someone spoke that pierced your soul more deeply than they realized. But life pulls, distractions shout, and so the gentle voice of heaven becomes easy to overlook. My beloved child, I have watched many disciples walk with heavy hearts, believing they were too distant from God to hear Him. But it is not distance that makes us skip divine signs. It is noise. The noise of worry. The noise of responsibility. The noise of past pain. And that noise becomes so familiar that the silence of God feels foreign, even when it comes to help, not to harm. Think of the times you sensed a nudge in your spirit, a small whisper telling you to slow down, to breathe, to open your heart, to pray. Think of the moments you felt drawn to watch messages like this one, but scrolled past because your heart was fighting battles it did not know how to explain. Heaven saw every one of those moments. Heaven never judged you for them. Heaven never turned away or withdrew its hand. Instead, heaven waited, patiently, quietly, tenderly. My child, you have skipped signs not because you didn't care, but because you didn't know they were signs. You skipped moments of divine calling because your heart was too bruised to believe God would still reach for you. You skipped messages like this because fear whispered lies that you were unworthy or not ready or too broken to receive anything holy. Yet here you are, listening, opening, softening, and heaven takes note of that. Archangel Michael's message tonight does not come to accuse you for the times you looked away. It comes to tell you that heaven is shifting the conversation. What you skipped before, heaven brings again. What you overlooked before, heaven sets before you once more. This time, not as a whisper lost in the noise, but as a clear call spoken into the quiet of your heart. My beloved child, I want you to understand this deeply. God is not hurt because you skipped the signs. God is hurt when you believe He has stopped sending them. He has never stopped. Even in the nights when your heart felt far from faith. Even in the seasons when you felt numb to everything holy. Even when you doubted whether heaven still watched over your home. God continued to send reminders, comforts, gentle pushes toward hope. And if you missed them, heaven simply whispered again. Tonight becomes the night when the pattern breaks. Not because you suddenly, became perfect, but because your spirit finally feels the weight of the divine presence standing close. Heaven has waited for this opening in your heart, this stillness, this willingness to lean into something sacred once more. My beloved child, the signs you skipped before were seeds. But tonight, a new seed is planted. A seed not of fear, not of pressure, but of awakening. Michael's presence is not here to point at your past. It is here to guide your next steps, to protect your home, to bring clarity to your mind, to lift the burdens you have carried in silence. The next part will unveil what heaven desires to let happen in your house tonight. Something gentle, something holy, something that will rest upon your spirit like a warm blanket of peace. My beloved child, lean in gently now, for part 4 carries us into the heart of the promise, the place where heaven's whisper touches the walls of your home. Let your breath slow. Let the noise within you settle. Because what I share with you now is not a prediction in the way the world understands predictions. No, my child, it is a spiritual truth, a divine unfolding, a heavenly atmosphere that desires to rest upon your dwelling like a soft mantle of peace. Tonight, something sacred will happen in your house, but it will not disturb. It will not frighten. It will not come with thunder or fire or shadows. It will come with gentleness. It will come with light. It will come like the quiet warmth that sits beside a weary soul and whispers, "You are not alone." My beloved child, when heaven visits a home, it does not step through the door as a guest who waits to be invited. It enters through the heart. It moves through the atmosphere of love. It settles upon the places where you have cried quietly, the places where you have hoped silently, the places where you have fought battles no one else even knew existed. Heaven knows where you sit when your strength runs out. Heaven knows the corner of the room where you whisper those prayers without words. Heaven knows the side of the bed where your tears have fallen unnoticed. And heaven moves toward those places first. Tonight, what will happen in your house is simple. Peace will come. Not the peace the world gives, fragile and fleeting, but the peace heaven breathes, strong, steady, protective. It will rest upon your walls like a shield of calm. You may not feel a wind. You may not hear a sound. But you will sense a stillness deeper than silence, a warmth deeper than comfort, a knowing deeper than thought. My child, this is the work of Archangel Michael, not as a warrior of war, but as a guardian of resting hearts. He comes not with a sword raised, but with a presence that pushes away the heaviness you have carried for far too long. Imagine a mighty angel standing at the threshold of your home, not to frighten, but to guard. Imagine a radiant figure whose light does not scorch, but soothes, whose strength does not intimidate, but reassures. That is the kind of visitation heaven brings tonight. There are burdens you placed on shelves inside your soul, hoping one day you might find the strength to lift them again. There are memories you wrapped in silence because speaking them felt too painful. There are worries you tucked under your pillow at night, hoping sleep might wash them away by morning. Tonight, heaven sees every one of them. And the presence that enters your home will begin to loosen those weights, not by force, but by love. My beloved child, in the quiet hours ahead, you may find yourself breathing a little easier. You may notice your heart feeling lighter without knowing why. You may sense a comforting thought rise within you, like a warm hand resting gently on your spirit. This is heaven tending to you. This is Michael standing guard over your night. And I tell you now, what will happen in your house tonight is not a sign of danger. It is a sign of divine nearness. A reminder that even when you feel forgotten, heaven remembers. Even when you feel unseen, heaven watches over you. Even when you feel weak, heaven surrounds you with strength greater than your own. This night becomes a turning point, not because you forced your faith, but because you allowed your heart to open. Heaven responds to openness. Heaven moves where there is willingness. Heaven speaks where silence makes room. My beloved child, prepare your heart, not with fear, but with expectation. For the gentle hand of God will brush against your night, and the peace of heaven will settle where rest has been missing. The story only deepens from here. My beloved child, draw near once more, for part 5 carries a tenderness that must be spoken with care. Let your heart be steady, for what I share now is not meant to shame you, but to heal you. Tonight, we speak of the heart that feels distant from God, the heart that wonders if its silence wounds heaven, the heart that believes it has disappointed the divine by turning away. My child, listen closely, for this truth will set your spirit free. There are moments in every soul's journey where the weight of life becomes so heavy that turning toward God feels impossible. Not because you do not love Him, but because you feel too tired, too overwhelmed, too unworthy to look upward. The world tells you that ignoring spiritual moments is rebellion, but heaven sees something different. Heaven sees a weary heart trying to survive. Heaven sees a soul pulling its own weight with trembling hands. Heaven sees you not as a child running away, but as a child struggling to stand. My beloved child, when you skip a moment of divine whisper, God does not sit in anger. God grieves only in the way a loving parent grieves when his child walks through storms alone, while help stands waiting. It is not your skipping that hurts him. It is your suffering in silence. It is your thinking you must do everything on your own. It is your belief that you are too far gone for him to reach. Heaven aches not because you look away, but because you believe you must face the night without the light he longs to give. You understand now, my precious one. When you scroll past moments like this, heaven does not withdraw its love. Heaven simply whispers again. When you forget to pray, God does not forget you. When your heart feels closed, heaven does not stop knocking. When you feel unworthy, God draws nearer, because the greatest tenderness of the Father is for the child who feels they have failed. So many disciples carry guilt for moments they skipped, for messages they ignored, for prayers they did not pray. But guilt is not the voice of God. Guilt weighs, God lifts. Guilt crushes, God comforts. Guilt binds, God frees. The voice of heaven is never the voice that shouts shame. It is the voice that whispers, come home. Come rest. Come let me hold what you cannot carry. My beloved child, if heaven ever feels hurt, it is not because you turned away, but because you believed you were unworthy to turn back. But hear me now. Heaven has never, not for a single breath of your life, seen you as unworthy. The very fact that your heart is open in this moment tells me something powerful. It tells me your spirit has not died. Your hope has not vanished. Your faith may be quiet, but it is alive. And heaven moves swiftly to the heart that shows even the smallest flicker of desire. This moment right now, your willingness to listen, to receive, to open, is the greatest joy to the divine. Heaven does not count how many times you skipped. Heaven counts this moment where you did not. This moment where you chose to stay. This moment where your heart whispered, "I'm still here." My beloved child, let me tell you a sacred truth. When you share light, you become a vessel of light. When you spread a message of hope, you join heaven's word. When you lift a word that lifts someone else, you become a bridge for the divine to reach another weary soul. And perhaps, without you realizing it, the simple act of supporting this message, of letting it move beyond your walls, becomes your way of saying to heaven, "I am ready to walk again. I am ready to open. I am ready to be part of something holy." So if this message has touched your heart, if it has breathed even a small breath of peace into you, then let that same peace travel outward. Let it echo into another home. Let it reach another soul who has been skipping signs the way you once did. In doing so, you are not performing an action for a channel or a voice. You are performing a small act of ministry, a gentle offering of light into the world. My beloved child, heaven smiles when you help light travel. Heaven rejoices when you help the message reach the one who needs it most. So let your heart be moved not by duty, but by love, and allow yourself to be a lantern in someone else's darkness. For in doing so, you fulfill a quiet, beautiful desire of God. Now, come with me as we step into the next part, where the sword of light carried by Archangel Michael will reveal its meaning to your spirit. My beloved child, come closer now, for part 6 carries a sacred weight, a holy strength, a light that has defended souls across generations. Tonight we speak of Archangel Michael's sword, not as a weapon of violence, but as a symbol of truth, clarity, and divine protection. Let your heart be steady, for what you are about to understand will deepen your sense of divine companionship in a way you may never have known before. My child, when Scripture speaks of Michael as a warrior, it does not mean he wages war the way humans imagine. Heaven's battles are not fought with force. They are fought with light. Darkness cannot be beaten with fists. Confusion cannot be defeated with anger. Fear cannot be crushed with physical strength. These battles require a different kind of sword, one that cuts through lies, one that pierces through despair, one that breaks chains made not of metal but of thought. Michael carries such a sword not of steel, but of revelation. When the sword of Michael enters a life, it does not wound, it frees. It does not harm, it heals. It does not destroy, it clears. It removes the fog that has settled over the mind. It tears down the walls that have built themselves around the heart. It cuts away the burdens that have attached themselves to your spirit through years of silent struggle. My beloved child, the sword of Michael is the moment you suddenly understand something that once confused you. It is the moment when clarity dawns like morning light after a long, sleepless night. It is the moment when the lies of fear begin to melt, and the truth of who you truly are begins to rise within you. It is the moment when you realize you are never fighting alone. Let me tell you a story, one that the elders passed to me when I was young in the calling. There was once a disciple whose heart had grown heavy under the weight of despair. Every night, he would sit by a small window and look into the darkness, believing that heaven had forgotten him. For years he fought battles no one saw, battles in his mind, battles in his memories, battles in his spirit. And one night, as he sat in the silence, he felt a presence behind him, not frightening, but strong and steady. He turned, and though his eyes saw nothing, his soul saw everything. He sensed a figure standing tall, a guardian whose presence filled the room with light he could not see, but could deeply feel. And then, in the deepest quiet, a single word was spoken into his spirit: rise. That one word broke chains that had been on him for years. That one word sliced through lies he had carried since childhood. That one word illuminated paths he thought were forever blocked. My child, that was the sword of Michael. Not a blade. A truth. A revelation. A divine light cutting through the darkness that had clung to him. And that same sword draws near to you tonight. You may not see a glowing figure. You may not hear a voice with your ears. But the clarity you are beginning to feel, the weight that is slowly lifting, the sudden understanding that perhaps heaven has been closer to you than you imagined, that is the touch of the sword. Not a strike, but a separation. A dividing of truth from lies, hope from despair, fear from destiny. Michael's sword cuts away what you were never meant to carry. It clears the shadows that cloud your inner vision. It brings strength not by adding pressure, but by releasing you from burdens that were pressing you down. My beloved child, in the quiet hours ahead, you may feel the stirring of courage within you, courage that does not come from your own strength. You may feel a renewed sense of direction, a fresh breath in your spirit, a lifting of the fog that has dimmed your hope. This is the angelic work. This is the guardian's gift. This is the sword of light in action. And now, with this understanding, we step into what comes next, the night of transformation, where everything Michael has prepared in you begins to unfold. My beloved child, come and sit with me again, for part 7 is the moment the story shifts inside you. This is the night of transformation, not a transformation of the world around you, but of the world within you. As you listen, let your heart loosen its grip on the things that have weighed upon it for so long. Let your spirit breathe. Tonight, the change heaven offers is gentle, subtle, and profoundly healing. My child, transformation is not a sudden flash, nor a dramatic sign written across the sky. Real transformation happens the way dawn arrives, quietly, softly, beautifully. It begins with a single ray of light slipping through the cracks of the night. It begins with a whisper inside your soul saying, "Do not give up yet." It begins with a warmth that rises slowly from your spirit, reminding you that you are not finished, that God is not done with you, that heaven has not forgotten your name. Tonight, as the presence of Archangel Michael rests near your home, something begins to shift inside you. You may not feel a burst of emotion. You may not sense anything dramatic. But deep within you, the smallest movement begins. A frozen place in your heart begins to thaw. A weary place begins to sink into rest. A fearful place begins to breathe again. This is how heaven transforms a soul, not with noise, but with tenderness. My beloved child, imagine a seed buried in the soil. For days, for weeks, maybe even for years, it lies there in darkness. The world above forgets it exists. But then one night, the earth softens just enough. The temperature warms just enough. And the seed, without even understanding how, begins to open. Not because it is ready, but because it is time. That is what is happening inside you tonight. Not a forced opening, but a natural one. Not a pressured change, but a divine unfolding. Transformation does not erase your past. It illuminates it. It shows you where God was present even when you thought He was absent. It reveals strength in places you believed were weak. It uncovers wisdom hidden beneath your wounds. And it replaces old fears with new understanding. The angelic presence around you does not come to change who you are. It comes to remind you who you have always been. My child, let me tell you something sacred. Heaven has always known your potential. Heaven has always known the light you carry, even in the seasons when you could not see it yourself. And tonight, the light begins to rise again. Slowly. Comfortably. Like a flame that cannot be extinguished, only dim, but never lost. You may find thoughts coming to you that you have not thought in a long time. Thoughts of hope. Thoughts of possibility. Thoughts that say, maybe I can try again. Maybe I can trust again. Maybe I can heal. Maybe my story is not over. These thoughts are not random. They are the first signs of your transformation. They are the breath of heaven moving across the surface of your inner waters. My beloved child, transformation also means release. Release of what no longer serves your soul. Release of the disappointments you've carried like stones in your chest. Release of the fears that whispered falsely to you. Archangel Michael does not force release. He invites it. Like a hand extended gently to a child who has been holding something heavy for too long. When you let go, when you truly let go, the hand of heaven catches what falls from you and turns it into light. This night of transformation may not look dramatic from the outside, but heaven looks at the heart, not the outward signs. The moment you opened yourself to listen, the transformation began. The moment you allowed peace to settle near you, the transformation deepened. And the moment you trusted, even for a breath, that God had not turned away from you, the transformation rooted itself firmly in your soul. My beloved child, you are stepping into something new, even if you can't yet see it. Heaven has been preparing you for the shift quietly, lovingly, patiently. And now, as you walk with me into the next part of this journey, you will begin to understand the deeper wisdom that heaven has been waiting to reveal. For opens the heavenly scroll, the revelation meant for your spirit. My beloved child, settle your heart gently as we step into part 8, for this is where the heavens open their scroll, not a scroll of doom or warning, but of revelation, wisdom, and divine remembrance. What I share now is sacred, For the opening of a heavenly scroll has nothing to do with physical parchment or celestial drama. It is the moment when the truth meant for your life finally becomes clear, when the veil lifts just enough for your spirit to understand what your mind could never grasp on its own. My child, every soul has a scroll, a divine record of purpose, identity, and calling the heaven guards with tenderness. Most people live their entire lives without ever opening it, not because it is hidden away, but because the noise of the world draws them away from the quiet where wisdom speaks. But tonight, because your heart has softened, because your spirit has opened, because the weight you carried has begun to loosen, the scroll meant for you unfurls gently. Do not imagine a dramatic vision or a glowing book descending from the clouds. Imagine instead a quiet realization forming inside you, a sense that something is aligning, a knowing rising from within that feels older than your memories. This is how heaven opens a scroll. By awakening what was always within you, but long forgotten. My beloved child, the scroll reveals not events, but truths. Truths about who you truly are beneath the wounds, beneath the fears, beneath the disappointments that once shaped your life. The heavenly scroll speaks of dignity and strength and divine design. It speaks of the everlasting love of God woven through the fabric of your being. It speaks of the protection you did not see, the guidance you did not recognize, the mercy that held you in every season of your life. As the scroll opens tonight, your spirit begins to remember the things heaven has known all along. You begin to remember that you are not weak, only weary. You begin to remember that you are not lost, only searching. You begin to remember that you are not broken beyond repair, only mending. And you begin to remember that your life has never been an accident, your path never abandoned, your cries never ignored. My child, in the opening of the scroll, you may feel a clarity that surprises you. Thoughts may rise that feel unfamiliar yet deeply true. You may feel as if something within you is waking up from a long sleep. That is because heaven is reminding you of who you are. Heaven is reminding you that despite everything you have walked through, you are still chosen, still loved, still guarded, still held. The scroll also reveals something else, guidance. Not detailed instructions, but gentle direction. A sense of which way your heart must turn. A sense of what you must release. A sense of what you must embrace. Heaven never forces direction on a soul. It simply shines light on the next step. And tonight, that light grows clearer. My beloved child, I must tell you a story, one whispered through generations. There was once a seeker who begged heaven for answers. Every night he prayed, every morning he wept, believing that heaven remained silent. But one day, in the quiet of dawn, he sat beside a river, weary and confused. As the waters moved slowly before him, he suddenly understood everything he had been seeking. Not because a voice spoke, not because an angel appeared, but because the scroll of his spirit opened. Wisdom came not from the sky, but from within. It was always there, waiting for stillness. So too is wisdom coming to you now. The scroll opens not to overwhelm you, but to align you. It carries no threat, no pressure, no demand. It carries affirmation. It carries remembrance. It carries direction whispered in the language of peace. You may begin to notice a new strength forming inside your spirit, like a small flame glowing steadily where once only embers remained. This is the result of the scroll's opening. This is the awakening of your inner knowing. This is the deep recognition that heaven has been guiding you far more closely than you ever realized. My beloved child, hold on to this moment, for the scroll opens only when the heart is ready to receive. And your heart tonight is ready. Ready for peace, ready for renewal, ready for divine clarity. Now, walk with me into this journey, where the peace that has been promised, the peace that will fill your home, finally descends in its fullness. My beloved child, come softly now into part 9, for this is the moment the promise becomes presence. This is the moment when everything we have spoken, every whisper, every unfolding, every revelation, settles into something you can feel in the atmosphere around you. Let your spirit quiet itself, for what we speak of now is the visitation of peace, a peace that does not merely surround you, but enters the very breath of your home. My child, when heaven sends peace, it is never fragile. The world gives peace like glass, easily broken, easily scattered, easily shattered by the slightest trouble. But the peace that heaven sends is different. It is steady. It is warm. It is alive. It is a covering, a mantle, a quiet blanket woven from the very heart of God Himself. And tonight, this peace is drawing near to your house. You may wonder how peace enters a home. Does it come with a sound, a sign, a shiver in the air? My beloved child, peace does not need an announcement. It slips in through open hearts. It settles into rooms where heaviness used to sleep. It lingers in corners where worry once stood like a shadow. It wraps itself around the soul like a gentle embrace from a presence that has known you longer than the world ever has. Tonight, heaven's peace comes not because you earned it, but because you opened to it. Peace is not the reward of the perfect. Peace is the comfort of the willing. And because you allowed your heart to listen, because you allowed your spirit to breathe, the peace that has been prepared for you is now being poured into your home like soft light from a candle that never burns out. My child, imagine this peace as a soft glow moving through your house. It touches the doorway first, blessing your coming and going. It lingers near the place where you rest your head, bringing warmth to the places where your worries have often followed you into the night. It settles in the spaces where silence once felt heavy, and turns that silence into something gentle, something holy, something healing. Peace does not remove all your challenges, but it changes how your heart carries them. Peace does not erase every question, but it quiets the fear behind the questions. Peace does not solve every problem, but it strengthens you from within, so the problems no longer feel like mountains crushing your spirit. Instead, they become steps. Steps you can climb with grace, steps you can face without trembling, steps you can walk because heaven walks with you. My beloved child, the visitation of peace tonight is the fulfillment of what Michael's presence has been preparing you for. The sword cleared the shadows. The transformation awakened your spirit. The scroll opened your understanding. And now, peace rests upon your home like a final blessing before dawn. There will be a moment, Maybe tonight, maybe in the early hours of morning, maybe even in a quiet thought tomorrow, when you suddenly feel lighter. When a breath comes easier. When a smile touches your face without effort. When a weight you forgot you were carrying seems to loosen. That will be the sign that the peace has settled fully, that heaven has touched your home, that the promise of this message has reached its gentle completion. And when this peace settles, it will not leave quickly. Heaven does not visit to pass through. Heaven visits to remain. The comfort you feel tonight will be the beginning of a new softness in your days, a new strength in your spirit, a new clarity in your decisions, a new steadiness in the moments that once overwhelmed you. My child, let this peace sink into you. Let it breathe through you. Let it become the rhythm of your life. For heaven's peace is not a moment. It is a presence. A presence meant to walk with you long after tonight has passed. Now, my beloved one, come with me, where a blessing will be spoken over you, where heaven's love will be sealed in your heart, and where we will close this message with the grace that God pours out on His children. My beloved child, come close for the final time in this sacred journey, for part 10 is not merely an ending, it is a sealing. It is the moment where heaven's whisper rests fully upon your spirit, where every word spoken before folds itself into your heart like a gentle cloak. Let your soul be still, for this final blessing is not rushed. It is not spoken from duty. It is spoken from love, deep, ancient, unwavering love. My child, you have walked with me through revelation, through awakening, through remembrance, through peace. You have allowed your heart to open in ways you may not even fully understand yet. And heaven has seen every moment of that openness. Heaven has honored it. Heaven has responded to it. Tonight, the Father looks upon you not with judgment or expectation, but with joy. For a child who listens with sincerity, even for one breath, becomes a delight to the heart of heaven. This final moment is where I speak over you the blessing I have carried since the very beginning of this message. May the peace that entered your home tonight remain like a soft fragrance in the air. May the presence of Archangel Michael continue to stand at your doorway with the strength of a guardian and the gentleness of a shepherd. May the sword of light continue to clear the paths before you, paths of confusion, paths of fear, paths of doubt, so that you may walk with clarity and courage. May the transformation that began in your spirit tonight grow quietly within you in the days ahead, not as a sudden burst of change, but as a steady unfolding, a deepening, a settling. May you wake tomorrow with a new softness in your heart, a new calm in your thoughts, a new steadiness in your steps. May you feel supported, protected, guided, and loved. My beloved child, may the heavenly scroll of your life remain open in your spirit, reminding you each day of your worth, your purpose, your strength. May you see yourself through heaven's eyes, not as someone broken, but as someone becoming. Not as someone forgotten, but as someone chosen. Not as someone lost, but as someone found again. And may the peace that has entered your home tonight become a light that others can feel when they step into your presence. Yes, my child, the blessing upon you is not meant to stay only with you. Heaven's gifts become richer when they flow outward. And when you share light, you become part of heaven's work in a world that desperately needs it. So if this message has touched you, strengthened you, lifted you, or comforted you in any way, let that blessing flow further. Let it reach another heart, another home, another weary soul who needs this same peace. Support this message, share it forward, lift it high, not as an act of obligation, but as a beautiful offering to God, a way of saying, Father, let your light travel farther through me. Let someone else feel what I felt. Let someone else find hope in the same way you gave it to me tonight. My beloved child, heaven smiles upon such acts. Heaven delights in such generosity. And your simple willingness to help the light move forward becomes a quiet, holy gesture, a small ministry from your heart to another's. Now, I place my final blessing upon you. May your nights be calm. May your days be steady. May your home be covered. May your spirit be comforted. May your journey be guided. And may your heart always remember that heaven is closer than breath, nearer than your own thoughts, and forever on your side. My child, I bless you in the name of peace, in the name of love, in the name of the one who watches over you without ceasing. Amen.